Hi, this is Melissa. Welcome to my channel, Quilting by Heart. So today I'm coming to you with a little scrap project that I had been talking about. I've been wanting to make something for the 4th of July, and I wanted me a flag quilt, maybe a wall hanging size to a small lap quilt size. So I sat down with some graph paper and I come up with a little scrappy flag, and I'm going to be sharing how I did that with y'all today. So the fabric that I'm going to be using, I had 2 of the Fat 8 bundles that I purchased at southernfabric.com, and these are the Kathy Smith's Studios, and it's called the My Country line, and they're just patriotic prints. I've already got into these bundles cutting out my squares, so it's not going to take both of these scrap fabric bundles to make this small quilt. So I'm going to have quite a bit left over, quite a bit of scraps. But yeah, so we're gonna get busy. I've already cut out my squares, and I cut out my squares to 4.5 inches square, and I did press them, you know, my Fat 8s. I pressed and I starched them before I started cutting out my squares. So I cut out 42 4.5 inch blue squares, 72 4.5 inch red squares, and 78 4.5 inch white squares. Okay, so I'm using a variety. Mine's going to kind of have a scrappy feel, a rustic country scrappy feel. So there are different prints in my line of fabric, but if you wanted to do this out of just 3 solids, you absolutely could. I would probably, you know, I'm not good at measuring in my mind how much fabric, but I would think about 1.5 yards of each to be on the safe side, and you could easily make this little lap quilt. So yeah, and if you added borders to it, you could come up with a pretty good size quilt if it had some chunky borders on it. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the little unit here. I just made this up really quick. You might want to even take a screenshot of this so that you can see kind of my layout here. The first thing that I'm going to be piecing together, I'm going to start right up here in the corner and piece together the blue blocks that would be this top unit right in here. We're going to piece those together, and I'm going to be chain piecing at, of course, at a 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to be chain piecing on my Brother PQ 1500. And so yeah, let's get this quilt underway. All right, I'm here at my machine now. It's just a good straight stitch machine. Okay, as I begin piecing, I have set my stitch length at 2 because that's just a good length for piecing, so my pieces are not as likely to come apart. I'm just going to be sewing mine. They're random patterns, so I'm going to be sewing them together, just chain piecing them in random strips. There will be, let's see, so there's this little part right here, this little unit right here is what I'm going to be working on first, and in that unit there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows consisting of 6 blocks in each row. So I'm just going to start chain piecing, and here we go. And of course, if you are a new seamstress, or you just don't feel, you know, you don't have to go, you don't have to sew as fast as I do. Trust me, I would do better, a lot better, if I would slow down too. But I tend to get a little heavy-footed with this straight stitch machine, and she really will get up and go. I also wanted to say that I'm using a natural colored thread, just a basic. It's called natural, kind of like an off-white thread for my piecing. I find that gray, white, and off-white is 3 good colors. You can generally do any type of piecing with those 3 colors. So that's what I'm using today, is a color called natural, and it's from Connecting Threads. Okay, as an added bonus, y'all gonna get to see me use my little thread cutter here that I purchased from Temu for the first time to cut these pieces apart. So let's see how it works. Yay! Ah, that's so nice. Cut so smooth. Yeah, this was definitely a Temu win right here. Okay, I'm back now. Had to take a little supper break and get everybody fed up, get everything going. Okay, so I've got my my 7 rows here of my 6 blocks sewed together. I got my rows, and now I don't have a lot of different patterns, so there's going to be some touching. I'm going for a scrappy look. I'm not overthinking it. I'm not going to worry about the ones that are going to be the same ones touching. I'm just not going to worry about that. But what I did is take them over to my ironing board, and I pressed them all the seams going in one direction. And I'm going to bring them together and line them up and start sewing my unit together, my 7 rows to form my unit, and I will be back with you when that's done. I'd also like to mention and tell you that I am pinning my intersections together. You can see here I'm pinning my intersections together. I'm nesting my little seams and I'm pinning them, and that will just give me a little more precision when I'm sewing that long seam to join the two. That's going to help me some. Now, let me go ahead and tell you, if you look closely on any quilt I make, every seam is not going to be perfect. But we're going for our best effort here, okay? So, let's get them sewed. All right, I'm back, and I've got my first unit, which is the blue part of our flag. See on my little sheet, this will be the first unit, and I've got it done. So now we're going to be working on this unit right here next to it, this second block right here next to it. We'll be working on the second unit, but I've got my first one done, and it was seven rows down and 7 blocks down and 6 across. So I'm really liking the way that it's coming together. It's looking really scrappy. I like that. So yeah, if you look close, it's not perfect. Every seam is not touching perfect. But it doesn't matter really on a project like this. It's going to be fine. I want it to have kind of that rustic handmade look, maybe where everything's not touching together just perfectly. You know, and 2 colors might be touching. That's perfectly fine. It's going to be a really rustic, scrappy look. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this first unit. I can't wait to get the rest of it together. So like I said, now the next unit we're going to be working on is the square right beside the blue unit. This was the blue unit. This will be this square right here, which will be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quilt blocks across. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down. Just exactly the same size as this one was. It'll be just like that one. So that's the one we're going to be working on now. And we'll be alternating the rows. We'll just sew a row of the red, then a row of the white, a row of the red, a row of the white. We'll be alternating those rows and then sewing them all together. When we get them all made up, we'll be sewing them together. And I'll meet you back here when I've got my number 2 unit done, and we'll take a look at it. here we are again. Yeah, so I have my second unit done, and that would be this portion right here that goes right next to the blue unit. My second unit there, it's completed. So this is what it's looking like. Yeah. Alrighty. Now, I am going to sew these two units together. The blue and this unit right here. I'm going to sew it to the blue. And half of my quilt will be done. And I'm going to call it quits for tonight. It's getting pretty late. I haven't been cutting and sewing. I'm probably maybe 2.5 hours in tops, probably. Maybe a little bit longer, maybe 3 hours in. But yeah, I think it's going to turn out really, really cute. I've got some ideas for it, ways that I want to try to embellish it when I get through. I'm thinking about tea dyeing it to make it look extra grungy. I don't know about that. I'll have to get back with you. If I decide to do that, I'll take you along for that. But yeah, I'm going to be sewing the second unit to the first unit that I made, and then half of my flag is going to be done. And I'll catch you next time on part 2 for this scrappy flag. I hope you're enjoying this little series. And as you can tell, I just wanted to say, as you can see, my blocks are far from perfect. I mean, I'm zipping through this. I'm not stopping to tarry. I am not being super uptight about how it's coming together, what's touching what or where, because I think the overall look of it, when I get it all together and I get it sewed and I get it quilted, I think it's going to be cute. And this will be something that I can just enjoy around the 4th of July. I think it's going to be probably a little larger than I thought it was going to be too. So I'll catch you for part 2 of the Scrappy Flag.